All right. So, hi everybody. Good evening. So sorry for the delay. I had to set up a whole lot of things to get this streaming process going. I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, you can please kindly drop your comments in the comment section that you can hear me. And it's so nice to have every one of you here. So today we'll be starting a series where I'll be streaming some of our healthcare data analytic projects we've done. So the essence of this is that you can, ask me questions at the end of the streaming section. All right. So most of the questions you want to drop in the comment section, I'm here today. You can go ahead and ask me those questions. So that's one of the essence and another opportunity for you to connect with me virtually. All right. So without wasting time, we'll go ahead and start this session. I know our time is a bit spent, but we are just starting, okay? So I hope you enjoy the section, and at the end of the video will be playing. You can go ahead and jot down your questions, and at the end, I'll be answering your questions. You can drop your questions in the comment section, and at the end of the day, I'll be answering your questions. Okay. Welcome to another tutorial on our healthcare data analysis playlist. In our today's video, we'll be looking at how I analyzed hospital readmission dataset. So if you could see, I saved this notebook as hospital readmissions. Okay, let's go ahead and close that up. I started with giving a brief background and introduction about what the project is about. So for the background of this project, we are assuming that we work for a consulting company that's helping a hospital group better understand patient readmissions. So the hospital gave us access to 10 years of information on patients that are readmitted to the hospital after being discharged. The doctors want us to be able to assess if initial diagnosis, number of procedures, or other variables could help them better understand the probability of readmission for a patient. They want to focus follow-up calls and attention on these patients with a higher probability of readmission. So that's the background for our project we'll be looking at today. So some of the objectives we'll be tackling: we want to create a report that covers the following. One, what is the most common primary diagnosis by age group? Second is, some doctors believe diabetes might play a central role in days. Then we also have N_ procedure, that stands for the number of procedure that has been performed during the have number of lab procedures, number of medication, that's number of medication that have been administered during the hospital stay of the patient. We also have number of outpatients, that's number of outpatient visits in a year before a hospital stay. That means before the patient was admitted. We also have number of patients, which signifies number of patient visits in the year before the hospital stay. They also have emergency, how many times this patient has been brought to the emergency room. We have diagnosis. Diagnosis 1 stands for the primary diagnosis. Diagnosis 2 was for secondary diagnosis. Diagnosis 3 is any additional or secondary diagnosis. Then we also have a column that shows the glucose test of the patient, A1C test, then change. We also have a column for change that signifies whether there was a change in the diabetes medication or not. Then we also have a column that's diabetes med, that stands for if the patient was prescribed with diabetes medication or not, and our target variable, which is the last column, readmitted. So that column is going to stand for if that patient was readmitted at the hospital or not. The next thing I did was to import the modules and packages I'll be needing to tackle our problem. So the first thing I did was to import pandas as PD. I also import numpy as NP, matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, and seaborn as SNS. I'll be using those two libraries to create visualizations for data. So when I was done with that, the next thing I did was to now read in my file into my Jupyter notebook. Okay, so I use the pd.read_csv and the part where this my file is saved on my computer system. So you can see is under the download location on my computer, and the name of this file, which is hospitalreadmission.csv. okay, so the next thing I did was to look at the first 5 rows of this data set using the .head method. So you could see H column, time in hospital, number of lab procedures, etc. So those are the first 5 rows. So if you look at this data set, you will see that our data set needs cleaning. We have a lot of things to clean on this data set. You could see, if you look at our H column, you can see some values that are not right. You can see 70 to 80, and which is not supposed to be so, right? So we're going to be cleaning this data set. So I went ahead, and before I did the cleaning, I did some quick exploration of my data set using the .info method. I wanted to look if DAG2 was our secondary diagnosis. Then I also rename our change column to med changed, as if any medication was changed or not, and I rename our A1C test to HbA1c test. Okay, so I added the in place equals to true, and so that I don't go ahead and give this data set another name, so I just had to use the in place equals to true. And checking the first 5 row of this data set, you could see that our changes has been affected. So if I scroll this, I can see primary diagnosis, secondary diagnosis, the additional secondary diagnosis, HbA1c test, then and also med change. Okay, so you could see that we've done some cleaning on the name of our columns. So another thing I did was to convert the H columns to categorical data. So if you look at our H column, they did not come in a specific value like 70, 25. It came in ranges 70 to 80, 50 to 60, like that. So since I cannot pick those, the categorization I did, and I use the .replace methods to just go ahead to do that. So technically saying replace this test here. Then when I was done with that, add the column type to categorical data type. So since I've already categorized each age into when I was done with that, I also used the type to check my changes if it were affected. And if you could see here, after checking the type of that column, the H column, you can see it appears as category. And you can also see, if we look at the H column now, you can see the other new column which I created, the H_cat. So you can see